Sewer Williams-Theo.
Thank you, Speaker. My question is to the Prime Minister. Does he stand by his statement that he has a plan to deliver a brighter future for New Zealand, quote unquote?
Right, Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, yes, that statement was made in the context of me walking into a Westpac stadium talking about the number of New Zealanders going to Australia under a Labor government. Of course, if we decide to do that video again for the 2014 election, I'll hold it in a phone booth.
Supplementary
to the Prime
question.
Minister, supplementary.
Order. Sewer Williams-Theo.
How have Pacific peoples enjoyed a brighter future under his government when, according to the 2013 census, the median incomes of those living in Māngere have decreased to $19,700 a year since 2006, while the incomes of those in Devonport have increased by almost 5,000 to more than 35,000, and that's without even adjusting for inflation?
Right, Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I don't know where the member gets his numbers from, but the New Zealand Income Survey shows average weekly earnings for Pacific people in paid employment have increased from $670 in 2008 to $764 in 2013. That's an increase of $94 or 14%. But frankly, I wouldn't expect the member to get the numbers right. They don't have a Treasury analyst anymore. They have a marketing consultant.
Point of order.
Order. Order. This is a point of order.
Point of order. Look, Mr. Speaker, I'm happy to table the 2013.
Order. Order. That is just abusing the ability to raise a point of order to table a document. Those figures are freely available. The member wants to continue his political debate. He does that by raising further supplementary questions. Point of order, Grant Robertson.
Mr. Speaker, I seek your advice on where that leaves the opposition asking questions when the Prime Minister begins his answer by challenging figures from, in this case, the census. And we're left in the position where you say, well, you have to use further supplementaries for that, when they're not able to table information that the Prime Minister has said effectively accused Sir Williams-Theo of making up. Where are we left?
Order. And I'm here. If the member resumes his seat, I'll assist. It is quite an order for any minister then to rise to his feet and dispute the figures and use some other figures. That's an order. It's been a practice that I've observed here for a long period of time. To then try to table census figures that are freely available to all members if they want further information is an abuse of the system. If the member wants to delve into these figures, do it with further incisive supplementary questions. Before I hear the member, if the member's in any way attempting to dispute a ruling I've just made, I will take a serious view.
Not at all, Mr. Speaker.
Good. I look for order. Then I look forward to the point of order being raised.
Mr. Speaker, the suggestion that I would like to make is that I think because probably of the noise in the House, the Prime Minister didn't hear the question because he said, I don't know where you got your figures from.
Order. The member's now just trifling and using the point of order to do so. It was a political question that was raised. It was responded adequately by it was addressed by the Prime Minister. It has been answered. If the member wants to continue his line of questioning, do it with further supplementary questions. Supplementary questions, Sewer Williams-Theo. Order.
To the Prime Minister. I'll ask again. How have Pacific peoples enjoyed a brighter future under his government when, according to the 2013 census, the median incomes of those living in Māngere have decreased to $19,700 a year since 2006, while the incomes of those in Devonport have increased by almost 5,000 to more than 35,000, and that's without even adjusting for inflation?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
I'm glad the member asked how many Pacific people are enjoying a brighter future, because the answer is 45,000 Pacifica children aged between 6 and 12 will get access to free doctor's visits. We know that Annette King is opposed to free doctor's visits, Mr. Speaker. When we look at tertiary training in the brighter future, We expanded the number of Māori and Pacific training places from 600 to 3,000. When we look at early childhood participation for Pacific people, it went up from 83.6% in 2007 to 89. When we talk about a brighter future for young Pacific people in NCEA, it's gone up from 55% in 2008 to 71% for school leavers very recent. Mr. Speaker, if we look at the number of people employed or on the unemployment benefit, that's been falling in recent times. Mr. Speaker, I think all New Zealanders are sharing in the brighter future.
A supplementary.
Supplementary question, Sua Williams-CO. Order. Sua Williams-CO.
How then does he explain that under his so-called rockstar economy, Pacific people are facing 13% unemployment, with Auckland Pacifica people on 14.6% unemployed, all consistently double figures in the last 5 years under his watch?
Mr. Speaker,
Order.
Mr. Speaker, I would be the first to accept.
Right Honourable Prime Minister. Order. Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'd be the first to accept that Pacific unemployment is too high, and that's why the government's been working on a variety of programs like trades training for people. That's why we're working on lifting education standards so that people have more qualifications. But I do say this one thing to the member, and I think he should take that out into the Pacific communities when he goes out in his constituency in the weekend. Under this government, we'll continue to welcome migrants from the Pacific. Under his government, guess what? His leader's saying no to his fellow Samoan friends and family who will be stopped under a Labour government and their anti-migration policy.
Order. Supplementary question, Sua Williams-CO.
To the Prime Minister, does he still stand by his brighter future statement when under his government only 18.5% Pacific people own their own home, compared to 49.8% for the general population and 56.8% for those of European origin?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, yes, and of course we'd like to see the level of home ownership from Pacific people increasing, which is why the government is doing a number of things. But I will say this. The one thing we do know is that if Labour become the government and they apply a capital gains tax...
Point of order.
Mr. Speaker.
Order. This is a point of order, and it will be heard in silence.
Mr. Speaker, it is out of order for the Prime Minister to inaccurately represent other parties' policies.
Order. I'll hear from the Right Honourable
Mr.
Prime
Speaker,
Minister.
if I was inaccurately doing that, the member would have a fair point of order. But actually, it's the member's policy to have a capital gains tax.
Order. The member asked a question around how does he stand by delivering a brighter future. The Prime Minister answered that and then certainly led into, towards the end of his answer, other parties' policies. That is not an appropriate way to answer a question. I accept that, and I was standing to my feet to try and conclude the Prime Minister's answer as the member raised his point of order. But it is a legitimate point of order. Question number 9, Julie Ann Genter.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Building and Construction. Will he change the construction